In this video, we're going to be going over the best fullback build for max level players. If you've got the max skill points in FIFA 23 Pro Clubs, then this is the video for you if you like playing as a fullback. So let's get straight into this. So first things first, you want to get into the player profile, and the way I have this built is a couple of different things you can change here still, depending on how you like to play a fullback. So you can make the height a lot taller, so there's definitely like a cap on where it actually changes your ability. So as you can see here, the physicals went up. I personally like to have my fullback around about 5'8", 5'9". I think it's probably like a perfect height. Anything taller than this, I don't think is really necessary, to be perfectly honest, unless you're trying to make like an extra centre back, which is not really what the player's meant to be, but you can definitely do that. I think anything up to 6 foot is okay. I just wouldn't really recommend anything over 6 foot. So it's just going to come down to personal preference. I like to have my fullbacks be able to move fluidly, be able to run up that wing, almost like a winger essentially, but obviously without kind of like the shooting attribute. So that is the way I like to play, but you can also play with a bit more of a defensive fullback as well. So if you want to make him a bit taller, you can definitely do that. In terms of weight, I recommend something around about 150 pounds. I think anything above that is a bit overkill, to be honest, and you are sacrificing quite a bit of pace as well. So just keep that in mind, and you will be trying to track wingers that have a lot of pace. So I think around about 140 pounds is ideal for me, and you just want to make sure that if you're a left back, you're left footed, if you're a right back, you're right footed. That's really important to know as well. Let's get into the perks as well here. So the 3 perks you want, in my opinion, that are the best. Now you can change these about if you feel like you don't really need certain ones, but Tireless Runner is just going to give you extra stamina over the game, which is going to be super important because you're going to be running up and down the wing pretty much constantly in this game. So that is something you definitely want to have on there. And then you want to have Chase Down, which allows you to recover quicker, probably one of the best defensive perks in the game. And then you also want to have Ball Winner as well. Now you can also have Interceptor. That's also another solid choice, but I feel like at this point, Interceptor's mainly for DMs and centre backs. So if you are playing as a defensive mid or a centre back, I think Interceptor's a bit of a better choice, whereas Ball Winner is going to be a bit better if you're on those wings. So like I said, you can mix and match this a little bit, or you could put Pinpoint Crossing on. I mean, that's going to help out a ton when it comes to actually getting crosses out, and give you that 5-star weak foot ability whilst making crosses as well, which is actually pretty cool. So it depends. If you want to be a bit more of a kind of assisting kind of fullback, then you can do that. If you want to be a bit more defensive, but personally, I like to be more defensive. Then when it comes to the actual skill tree, this is where we're going to talk about quite a lot of the stuff. So we do need the Bull archetype to get as much strength as possible to stay on the ball. We don't really want to be losing the ball when we're on it. Then you do want max stamina still. You're going to be, like I said, running up and down that wing pretty much constantly throughout a game. So you want to make sure that you're able to do that throughout the entire match. And then having max level will obviously contribute to that. Also, you do a bit of jumping on there as well, so you can header the ball, clear it when you need to. So absolutely put that on there as well. When it comes to defending, again, we want the Guardian archetype more or less. You want to be able to defend as best as possible. The only thing we have different to our centre back build is pretty much not having the final 2 points on here, but that's because we need it on other attributes. Then I do like to have a bit of agility and dribbling on my player here, also a bit of ball control and balance. This is going to allow you to actually stay on the ball, allow you to basically get past players if you need to, because you will be on that wing facing a couple of players at a time, and having the ability to dribble is very important. So like I said, I do think having the dribbling ability is going to be very useful throughout a match. Passing, this is where you want to actually put a lot of your skill points as well. I think I've got the artist archetype on here for crossing, and that is because when you're on that edge of the box or when you're on the wings, you want to be able to cross and get some really good crosses off. As you can see, the crossing right here is 93, which is absolutely ridiculous. So like I said, it's just something that I think is super important to have, especially as a fullback. So it's definitely going to help your team win a lot of games, and it allows basically your wingers, if you have any, or your right mids and left mids, to actually get in the box, to actually try and score some goals and basically press the game a bit more. Then I do want to have extra vision on here, make sure the passes are coming off correctly. I do have a bit of short passing on there, but 84 short passing to begin with is actually not too bad, to be honest. You can take a couple of attributes off the dribbling if you want to put more on the passing. Moving on to shooting, we do actually have 4-star weak foot. Now, on your fullback, I actually think this is quite important, to be fair. The reason for that is because if you're running alongside another fullback and they're trying to kind of push you to the edge of the pitch and you need to cut back on yourself, and again, this is why the dribbling's important as well, you can actually take the cross on your weaker foot as well if you need to. So that way you're not actually trying to take the cross with like your stronger foot for no reason. So 4-star weak foot will definitely help out a ton with that. So like I said, that's the reason why I have it on there. But if you do have pinpoint crossing, you can actually take this off because that will actually give you 5-star weak foot when you're crossing. So, I mean, you can build this a couple of different ways, but this is the way I like to build it. And then I also do have finishing on here. Just if you do end up in the box and you do need to take a shot, you do still have relatively decent finishing. I mean, you probably shouldn't really be there in the first place, but regardless, if you are in the box, you can take that shot. And then lastly, when it comes to pace, you want to max this out because you are going to come up against players that have max pace when it comes to wingers or strikers in this game, and especially with the lengthy archetype. Speaking of the lengthy archetype, I do think is more reserved for centre backs and centre defensive midfielders, like I said before. But if you do want to make that build, then you can actually kind of copy our centre back build and make some slight adjustments to the passing, which we'll leave a link at the end of this video. So thank you very much for watching.